Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of Beyond the Rider. This series is designed to learn about the riding community, their bikes, the gear, their adventures, the creative process, and what their place is in the riding community. So without further ado, it is my extreme pleasure to welcome the Gorilla Biker to the channel. I have been waiting for this day. Oh, that kind of looks like it too. Now I get the theme. Understood.
Yeah. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
So do I refer to you as Gorilla, Mr. Biker? How do I do this?
Whichever you want. You can call me Michael if you want. It's my name is
that
open
takes
and
away
out
from
the
the
channel.
fun.
You can call me Gorilla if you like. It's whatever you want.
Mr. Gorilla. Well, first off, all kidding aside, I'm very glad that you took the plunge to come on this experiment. But I'm really grateful, especially keeping you up on a Friday night.
It's fine. It's a Friday. I don't have to be in work tomorrow until 11, I think. So it's all right.
Oh, you have to work on Saturday?
Sometimes it's not so bad.
So why don't you tell everybody about where they can find you on social media and a little bit about your channel?
So you can find me on most platforms. Obviously, the main one, the one that I really focus on is YouTube, which is just the Gorilla Biker. You can find me pretty easily there. The one I would probably use second most would be Instagram. Again, the Gorilla Biker. I don't really use TikTok and Twitter, but you can find me on those as well. TikTok is the Gorilla Biker, and Twitter is at Biker Gorilla. I don't know what I did when I was signing up. I think it was like a suggested handle. Maybe the Gorilla Biker was already gone. But anyway, you can find me in all those places. And if you're really, really old school and want to email me, it's thegorillabiker@gmail.com.
Excellent.
And what else did you say? What my channel's about?
Yeah, what's your channel about? Tell us about it.
Well, bikes, I suppose.
You don't say.
It really is. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's you know the way some people have like bike channels, but it's bike channels and they do lots of different sorts of videos. And I don't mean to talk down to anything like that because I'm not. It's just that what people don't understand is when they watch my channel at the moment, I'm doing 4 videos a week, and like I go to work and then I do bike stuff. That is my life. So when you see on the channel bike stuff, that's essentially you're actually seeing all of my life that's not work and editing, because you don't see the editing and all that stuff. So yeah, it's just bikes. It's bike maintenance, bike trips. I like to look at food places while going there on my bike, historical or points of interest in Ireland while going there on my bike. And I wouldn't be confined to Ireland if it wasn't for what happened this year. I suppose I was planning on going other places, but it is what it is. Bike maintenance, bike upgrades, just bike stuff.
So if it's about bikes, it's on your channel.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a stunt bike yet, or a Harley. I'm sorry, but they could all happen in the future, or a dirt bike, or I plan on continuing to grow the collection. Some people have plans for like houses and children and stuff. I just have plans for more bikes.
I think that's a positive thing. It's a positive outlet. I like it.
Yeah.
So I guess starting at the beginning, what got you on 2 wheels? Like, was there a moment that you remember that you decided to take the plunge?
Not particularly. I mean, I've always liked anything with an engine. I remember when I was a child, I was tinkering with the old carbureted lawnmower we had. I think it was a Husqvarna actually. Rich person lawnmower, Husqvarna. It's good stuff. We had a Viking as well or something like that. But anyway, cars, we've always tinkered with cars here. I think it started with my dad. He's self-employed, and back when I was young, Ireland wasn't nearly as wealthy as it is now. So, self-employed business owners like himself, they kind of had to look after their own stuff. So I just naturally learned how to fix things while shadowing him, I suppose. And then I got my own stuff and I started working on my own stuff. Like, I think the first car I went working on was an old square body Renault Clio when I was about 11. And I had great plans for that. I was convinced I was going to drive that car, but it was a piece of shit. I got it running and I got to drive it around the yard, but that was about it. And I don't actually know what happened to that. I think my dad gave it to a cousin or something, because I was 11, so I didn't need a car. And then,
but you were still like 6'5", right?
Oh yeah, of course. I've actually shrunk. I started at 6'10" and have shrunk since then. Gravity plays its part. It's terrible. And then bikes. My parents actually hate bikes. Most of my family don't like bikes. Just my uncle loves them, and I would like to give it all to him, attribute it all to him. But I was always watching MotoGP. I remember on the one of the free to air channels used to have like reruns of BSB, British Superbikes. So I used to watch that. I always loved Formula One and bikes, any bike racing at all. And I still love watching, in particular, bikes. Still follow Formula One. It's not as exciting as it used to be, but yeah, I always loved watching bikes.
So you're not a NASCAR fan. You don't want to watch cars go in circles?
Okay, I don't want to upset
sport.
people. I don't want to upset people, but
my mother's going to unsubscribe, but it'll be okay.
I tried to watch NASCAR once or twice. It's just not for me.
Now, Formula One's definitely it's a very high tech sport too.
It's
a really cool form of racing.
It is. Yeah, I don't know. Does the high tech take away from it a little bit these days? But it is what it is. I think you have to get over it, because even with like British Superbikes now, there's technology there that when someone comes into a corner and they're riding an inline four, it actually shuts off two cylinders so that you don't have that wicked power that will just kick you off a bike and high side you. It actually turns off two cylinders while you're banking. And then there's lean sensors and all that stuff. So bikes are there. I don't know that people realize it, but the technology is there for bikes as well. They're crazy technologically advanced these days.
Yeah, it's amazing what they're putting into the bikes for sure. So what was your
Grand Tours, the single cylinder deactivation?
My back cylinder turns off at a stoplight, but that's not really technology.
I think that's really cool when you think about it. I mean, the heat saving and everything. That's like whoever was that definitely was a bike rider thought of. They were sitting at a traffic light or something, and they went, "Whoa, I'm cooking my testicles." And they were like, you know what? Do we even need that cylinder when we're idling? We probably don't. Let's just turn it off.
That's why you got 100 cc's, right? You turn it off. We don't need it.
Yeah,
that's actually interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I think in some ways it takes away from it some of the technology, in some ways it adds to it. It's kind of a fine balance.
All right, not to completely derail the question process, but
we're derailing. We're going, baby.
The whole technology argument. The thing about bikes with me, and we completely take cars, put them in a box, put them to one side, because loads of people use cars for like moving their children places and stuff. So they have to be safe. They're for groceries, moving children, moving grandparents. The cars need to be safe and super reliable. I have no issue with technology on bikes. I obviously have quite a few older carbureted bikes now, but my daily bike is my CBF, and if I could afford it, I would have some form of 2020 brand new bike for my daily bike. It's not, people misunderstand. I think the reason I love old bikes. I'll always have old bikes until the government come in and take them from my dead clutching fingers and bury them in the hole and then try give me an electric bike. But I'll be dead, so they won't be able to. It's not a technology snobbery that stops me getting a new fancy bike. It's just money. But the whole technology thing with bikes anyway, sorry. Yes, old bikes are a different experience to ride, and I think older bikes that don't have all the technology, that don't have the traction control, etc., they have a very different personality. They're much more likely to try to kill you. Does that make them more fun?
Story?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it does. Yeah, but then you have modern bikes with 200 brake horsepower. You don't need it. So, yeah. Sorry.
No. You rode a Zero, and that's definitely a high tech bike.
It's actually not. When you break it down, the Zero it's electric, obviously, so it's high tech in that way. But they're very simple bikes. I mean, it's literally twist to go, and there's no gears. You don't have all your for instance, my Gixxer that I'm rebuilding, that has a fuel pump to feed carburetors. They're vacuum carburetors. I think I can't remember, CAC something CV carburetor, something like that. It actually has a throttle position sensor. That's a complicated twist and go system. Do you know what I mean? That is actually, there's a lot to that. And not to discount the work that programmers have done in the background at Zeros, but it's just throttle by wire, isn't it? It's actually fairly simple. It's twist and go.
No, that's true. It's an off and on circuit, really, at that point.
Yeah, it is,
Interesting. So what was your first bike? Do you remember? Because I feel like you've probably had like 900 bikes by now.
I wish. My first road bike was actually the Phaser. I just had it a long time. Yeah, I had that bike a long time. What was it? It was about 50,000 kilometers when I sold it. It's not actually that much mileage, but I injured my knee every year for like 4 years running at one point, which kept me off the bikes for like at least 10 weeks every time. So, that was one thing. I've my left knee is in absolute tatters. It doesn't really work very well. So I just have to mind it these days.
Yeah, I get that. Well, what age did you start riding?
On the road, 22, because 22 or 23, one of those ones. I don't remember that actually. But the reason being was obviously I couldn't really afford a bike through college. But when I start riding bikes, I rode dirt bikes and small pit bikes and stuff when I was younger. So they were never mine. They were just borrowed.
Oh, they're the best bikes. I wasn't allowed one.
Yeah, exactly. You crashed it. Exactly. Yeah.
So what was the reason that you started your YouTube channel? Because I mean, if you're putting up 4 videos a week, you're obviously really into it, and your channel speaks to that. I mean, your videos have a lot of work and thought put into them.
Well, thank you. I'm glad it appears that way. most of them are just straight out of my brain, but
I think that's your style. I mean, it's genuine to you, and I think that as a creator is important, right? You're not trying to sling it as a commercial. I think it's great.
It's just me talking about bikes. That's all my videos are really. So that's, and even how I can think of a video at the moment is I literally just sit there I'll say, okay, what do I want to talk about today bikes wise, and I'll just write down a couple of bullet points and that's my video. I'll just talk to those bullet points. So that's I always write down bullet points because otherwise I have a tendency to ramble, as you probably have already noticed.
Not picked up on that at all.
So I do need to kind of direct myself, and that's something I realized pretty early on with my videos, because I'd sit down to edit and I'd get 15 minutes of what I actually wanted to talk about out of an hour's recording, and it's just 45 minutes of me going, yes, the sky is blue today, and also, did you know those type of clouds mean that it's more likely to rain later? It's like, no one wants to know that. No one came to watch a bike video to learn about the types of clouds that are in the sky at any particular time and how likely it is to rain. But why did I start my channel? It's a funny one, right? Because why I started it was I felt at the time I needed to do something. I used to play a lot of sports, rugby in particular, and then my knees just stopped me doing that. I just wanted to find something to focus on, and I was always doing work on bikes anyway, and I always watched the likes of Jake the Garden Snake, Shade Surgeon, Do It With Dan, Chasing Two Wheels, all those, the bigger YouTubers, and then lots and lots of smaller ones. If I went back and checked my old personal YouTube, there's a lot of subscriptions on there who I'm subscribed to. And I always kind of just thought like, I'd watch videos and I think I'd like to try that, So then I just started it one day after I did the chain and sprockets on my Phaser, and one of my friends asked me to show him how to do it because he needed to do his Phaser. So I just videoed it on my phone and just sent him this really long video that was just shot on a mobile phone that was me speaking over it. Just sent it to him on Dropbox, I think it was. And afterwards he came back and said, that was really good. Really, really helpful. You basically showed me how to do it. So I was like, all right, I'll give this a crack. And then once I started, I also realized that it made me much better at speaking. I'm actually quite shy. Not as much anymore, thanks to the channel, but I used to be very poor at talking to people who I didn't know. So, talking to the likes of yourself, there's not a hope I would have come on a Zoom call. If you asked me to do this 2 years ago, not a chance. And I just wouldn't have done it. It's because it just would have been completely outside of my comfort zone. So that's one thing that kind of kept me doing it, is I've really enjoyed all the people I've met through it. So why did I start? Just because it's something I wanted to try, but I think the why I kept doing it is the much more important thing. Really, is just for the interaction, the friends I've made all over the world. Yeah, that's the cool thing about it, I suppose.
That is the thing that I think makes your channel genuine, but I think that it makes this whole YouTube thing so genuine, is that it's really weird that you can just reach out to someone anywhere and have a conversation, and there's that commonality of motorcycles. You know, it's definitely very unique.
It is.
Touching on that, what would you say the overall theme of your channel is? Now, you do a mixture of sort of what I would call talking head stuff, where you're vlogging, you're now doing the travel stuff, which we'll touch into in a bit, but that stuff's, I think, fantastic.
COVID. The overall theme, again, it's just if you were to put a word on it, bikes.
No, that's fair.
But I suppose that one thing that I'm always trying to get across is how great bikes are. Toaster will tell you that I've annoyed her to the point that, you know, she might learn to ride a bike now. You know, when Big J was on, is and it was on the channel, I'm always telling him to learn to ride a bike. Anyone I can tell to ride a bike, I'm telling them to ride a bike, because until people, I think, you know, experience it, they don't understand just how much fun it is. There's no, like, if you were to ask me, do you want to drive 2 hours to the far side of Ireland to get a coffee and have a chat, and let's go on my car? I'd say, not a hope. I have no interest in doing that. That sounds actually like torture. 4 hours in a car there and back. No, absolutely not. Whereas if you rang me in the morning and say, hey, do you want to drive to the far end of Ireland? It's a 6-hour round trip, and all we're doing is going to get coffee and have a look out at some pretty sights. I'd say, absolutely, yeah, let's go. That's the difference, you know.
I think it's amazing the experience that you get. I mean, I've been riding for going on 9 years, and I can still remember that first time, you know, that experience, that feeling of freedom. It's just so unique. Yeah. And to your point, I mean, you get in the car and you go anywhere and it's just dreadful, but you get on the bike in 12 hours, you don't care. It suddenly doesn't matter.
I heard someone describe it before, and I think they put it really well, is when you're riding a bike, it's a 3D experience. So you're fully engaged because you have to be. You know, your sight, your smell, everything. You're just in it. Whereas in a car, especially modern cars, you're very removed from it. You know, you're sitting in a nice, comfy, air conditioned box, probably listening to the radio or a podcast or some music, and you're very much removed from what's going on outside of you. So,
yeah,
you know, it's a different experience completely.
So what things have you grown? I mean, you took a quick jump from 1,000K to what, you're 2.5, almost 3 right now?
Hold on. Oh,
we're going to get live stats. Hold on.
Live stats, 2,371 right now.
Wow. So you're flying at that. I mean, and I think you spoke to this before when we spoke, but it's interesting the jump from that 1,000 to 2.
Yeah, that was really, really quick. And to be honest, I still don't know what happened, but there was 3 months, I think it was June, July, and August, where I was getting like 200 and something subs a month. Now it's back to average. It's after taking a dramatic dive, but it's back to about 100 a month, which is still a lot. So I'm not going to
absolutely.
But that's where it's sitting right now. But yeah, when I hit 1,000, it just skyrocketed for a while for whatever reason.
I was thinking about this on the ride back today. Do you think that maybe some of it's just sort of YouTube fatigue because of the pandemic?
I mean, maybe people watch a lot of YouTube or whatever else. But see, the thing is, and this is one issue, I suppose, with YouTube, is you'll never know because no one will tell you. You know, I remember, I think it was actually when I'm almost certain it's exactly when I hit 2,000 subscribers and I put up the, thank you for 2,000 subscribers video. It was like I flicked a switch. Immediately after that video, all of my views have been a lot lower on average for my videos, which, it's fine. I've come to terms with it. The people still watch them, people still comment. That's the main thing for me. But definitely I see less comments. there's less engagements, there's less likes. So yeah, maybe it's just people are less involved in it because they're kind of, like you said, maybe they're just fatigued of it, or maybe my videos just got more crappy and I haven't noticed.
Nah, come on now.
It's one of those two things.
I just thought it was interesting because it's kind of, Backpack and I were having a discussion. I wouldn't say an argument because it wasn't, but about like, food. I feel like that's all we live for. It's like we get up, we eat, we work, we go to bed. There's no like life as it is right now is so weird. It's just different.
It's very linear.
Yeah.
So you're playing an old platform PC game, moving on. Yeah.
It's very odd. So what would you say at this point would be your best trip that you've taken on a motorcycle to date? I mean, is there something that stands out that you've done that was very unique for you?
The best one. Yeah, I think there is one that stands out just straight off the bat is the camping trip I took last October, because it was really poorly thought out as a camping trip. The weather was terrible, but we went. I think there was that whole weekend is over a 4-video span. I think, there's the camping. There is the Connor Pass, which is absolutely stunning. And there's Schlehead Drive, and I think that maybe 3 videos, but yeah, that trip, that was just so much fun. Myself and Kev, who's in loads of my videos, you probably know him at this point, but we just took off. We packed up the bikes, we took off, we set up camp just behind a beach. There's a pub literally 10 minutes up the road, so we set up the tents. Had a chat at the tents for a while. It started to get pretty dark, so we said, right, we'll go up to the pub now. Had a couple of pints of Guinness in the pub. Came back, had our fire going at the camp then for a while, and went to bed. Got up, got in the ocean the next morning straight off the bat in October.
Cool.
In October, it wasn't cool. It was cold. It was freezing. Then we packed up all our stuff and we headed off to Sleehead. And it just rained. I mean, it rained and rained and rained and rained for the day, but it was still really fun. There's trips like that I don't think even the weather can take the fun out of. That was a brilliant weekend, and I would quite happily do it again.
I think it adds to the experience. There's that one video that you have that you're riding in the rain and you're talking about the rain coming up your pants and you're going on and on about forgetting your rain gear. And I think that those are I think sometimes the bad rides are almost the rides that are more fun in a way.
I'm glad they're more fun for you.
I've had that experience. The first day that we got our rain gear, we bought it on a Friday. We went riding Saturday. We forgot the rain gear. And of course, we just got drenched, like to the point where it was just ridiculous.
That's always the way.
And I mean, I'm pretty sure that as long as I pack the rain gear, I'll never need it. It's the day that I don't, I'll need it, which is messed up. But
but that's just how the gods of bike look upon us. They're like, oh, you bought some nice new rain gear and you forgot it. Well,
you're never going to use it.
here's 5 million liters of water on your head. It's like, thanks, I appreciate that. Couldn't have waited a day. No, okay.
I always find it funny when you're out riding and you see cars pulled over because it's a downpour. Meanwhile, you're still going on a bike. Cowards.
The worst I've ever ridden in was I was going back down to Cork. I used to work in Cork, and my family are from Kilkenny, where I live now. I was still on the phaser at the time, with the back tire that probably wasn't great anymore. But I was going back down and there was the threat of heavy rain. So I said, right, okay, I'll go out the way that, you go. It's maybe 40 minutes on fun roads and then it's about an hour on just motorway or highway or interstate or whatever you call it over there. Just, 2-lane carriageway, basically. 2-lane each side. And the rain was so bad at one point for like 20 minutes solid that there were cars pulling in and I couldn't see. I was just following brake lights in front of me, or I was just following running lights, I suppose, with the red lights off the cars, because I literally couldn't see. So if someone had decided to just drive straight off, I would have followed them off a cliff. I wouldn't have known. And after about 10-15 minutes, it got so bad I just waited under an overpass. And I remember I got off the bike, left the bike running because I was afraid there was so much water. I was afraid if I turned it off, it might not turn back on. So I just left the bike running, and I got in over the barrier just in case. And I remember there was a river of water just running out of my sleeve on my rain. I'm like, this was my rain gear, and I was like, oh, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's definitely a bad ride for sure. Now, do you have somewhere in Ireland that's sort of your go-to route? Like I know here I go into Pennsylvania a lot and I ride the river. Do you have a ride that you seem to gravitate towards that's a favorite?
Not really. Not really. I know, because I lived in Cork, I know a lot of Cork now, and I know a lot of Kerry, and obviously lots around Kilkenny, and also good chunks of Wexford and Waterford, because that's the south of Ireland is kind of just where I have ridden my bike a lot. No, I wouldn't say I have a go-to. Like if I'm going out at a weekend and I know I have some time, I'll just pick somewhere to go to. And I think that's something the channel has helped a lot with. Is in a previous life before I did YouTube videos, yeah, maybe I would have just went on, the same roads a lot. But now I think I'm doing the people who watch the channel a disservice if I don't go to somewhere new and show them, hey, you haven't seen this road before, or you haven't seen this monument before, etc. Obviously with the lockdown this year, it's just been a lot of my commute home road, which is a nice road, so I don't mind using that one. It's pretty, and I take different routes. But no, I don't think I have a go-to. But my favorite road, the favorite section of road, is definitely all down around Killarney, where I did the phaser handover video recently. That whole route is just chef's kiss, magnificent.
Your scenery of Ireland's just amazing. I love the stone fences. It's something I always thought was just beautiful.
Yeah, until you crash your bike through one.
Well, yeah.
What
Let's not wish that upon you.
wait till I was going to do it all this year, but wait till I get up to Galway and Mayo and Donegal and Clare, because the stone walls there are just everywhere, and they're fantastic looking. So yeah, I'll show you that soon.
I look forward to it. So you've added the drone lately, right? You have what, a Maverick Mini 2?
No, it's a Mavic Air.
Oh, a Maverick Air. Wow, look at you.
I got it half price off a friend who was selling it for some reason.
Nice. Now, I know when we took our trip, I was looking at getting one, and I was surprised by like the restrictions of how little you can do with the drone, at least here in the States, unless you're commercial. And of course, it varies by state to state. Obviously, it's really added a lot to your channel. I mean, I think it's just fantastic to watch those drone shots. And I mean, you seem to have mastered it really well.
I don't know about that.
I always picture me buying a drone. It appears in one video. You never see it again. There's no talk of it later. It's just,
that's nearly happened a few times.
But how obviously it's become another creative tool. I mean, do you think that that's added? Do you think that the bang for your buck, if somebody's looking to add a drone to their channels, there, or do you think it adds some complication to the creative process?
I think if you can get one half price like I did, it's very, very much worth it. It's a very expensive tool that you won't utilize the same way as, for instance, you use one of these. Like this thing has done, when I think about it, it's done thousands of hours of footage. And I think I paid, €380 for this. So, slightly over $400, but I bought this brand new when they came out, and it's been a workhorse. And I know some people complain about the Hero 7 Black, but brilliant investment. So as long as you're okay investing, a lot more money than that for a decent drone, and you have to be comfortable with the fact that you're going to use that maybe 2% of what you use your GoPro for. Then yeah, it definitely adds a huge, like, places I go to in Ireland are often, I like ruins, so they're often overgrown. So from a me perspective or a point of view, it's quite I feel it's a weak visual description of what I'm trying to show people. Whereas the drone is just, like you said, it just gives you such a good creative method of getting something up in the air and showing someone, this is what it looks like. This is what I wanted to show you. This like that. I think it was Kill Michael Castle, when
yes,
if you look at that,
when you
just
did
visually,
that spin around, it was awesome.
Exactly. And I like, if you walk up to that with your own eyes, and if you're walking around it in person, it's different, but just from a point of view on a camera, it's like, okay, I see a big brick wall and it's just overgrown with some with foliage or whatever, and then you put up the drone and you're like, oh, whoa, this is on a big sweeping bend of a river, and it's surrounded by forest, and the abbey is beside it, and there's an estate over in the distance. It's just it's like, that's what I wanted to show you. So has it been worth it for me? Yeah, absolutely. I love my drone. I love my drone at 100%, and I'm really happy I got it. But I think if someone is looking to add it to their channel, it's never going to pay for itself. Well, at my current growth and my current YouTube channel, like, it's, I don't do it for money. If I did it for money, I'd retire. But as long as you're comfortable with knowing that you're putting a lot of money into something that you're not going to use very often, and that you could lose to a strong gust of wind into a cliff face at any moment, then yeah, go for it. But just be prepared to excrete some bodily fluids into your pants every time you lose connection to your drone, because your drone will lose connection. That happens. The one where I went out around the lighthouse, I didn't show it in the video, but there's a point where I was trying to do a full circle of the lighthouse, but the wind was so strong. As soon as you got out around the lighthouse, the wind was so strong, it just lost connection. And I was like, okay, my drone's gone. And then I just saw it like slowly returning because I had set home, and I was like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. So it did come back to me, thankfully.
Yeah, that's the problem, is I think with all this equipment, the more you want to try creative stuff, there's just a lot of things that you don't use that often. I mean, I purchased that gimbal and I love it, but there's just very few things to use it for. But when you do, it's awesome. But that's an interesting point, especially with that, I think, because to your point, you have the realistic issue of losing it. I'm not going to lose my gimbal.
But what I would say to people as well is, don't get too caught up. Like, am I happy with my drone? Yes. Would I still make all of those videos without it? Also, yes. Like, one person who I love how he makes his videos, and he's over 300,000 subscribers, is Brian636, and his hood eats. He just rides somewhere, gets some food. He's using a single GoPro on his chin, and then when he's eating, he uses his phone, and he doesn't even have a microphone plugged into his phone. It's just videoing with his phone. That's it. And you can see how successful he's been, and it's because he tells a story. He tells a story about the history and the culture of the area he's going to, and you don't need all the fancy expensive gear if you're trying to tell a story. So don't think that you do. Does it help? Absolutely. Does it visually capture attention much better? Absolutely. Do you need it? No. If you focus on the story you're trying to tell, you might not capture everyone. There might be 10% who's looking for that drone footage, who's looking for that gimbal footage. I think the bulk of the people are there for you and the story you're trying to tell.
Well, that's interesting. No, that's an interesting point, because I think it's very easy, especially coming from a technology background, to get caught up in that. It's like we were talking about earlier. It's like the cameras. The return for what you're doing may or may not really even be there.
Yeah, exactly. And even like you said, it's so, and I'm guilty of it. I know we've had this conversation, as I'm always thinking like, I'd love to get a 4K camera for when I'm doing my maintenance videos with the, Rode microphone on the top and all that. And realistically, what I did of late is my garage videos, I used to even have, my lapel mic and stuff on. And then recently I said, okay, well, it was a poll I put up on Instagram is, do you want to see a weekly Jigsaw video? I'm just going to put less editing into it and, less setting up of the camera and stuff. And people voted, we just want to see Jigsaw videos. So all I have been using, and I probably shouldn't tell people this, all I've been using is this camera with the built-in microphone. That is it, because there's not much wind in that shed. It's fairly enclosed. by trees and stuff. So there's not much wind, and wind is the killer. Wind is the killer, as you know. And then I've just been doing a lot of work with the audio in post. Again, one of the things you told me long ago with multi-band compressor, that's one thing I'm using. And then a couple of other things I picked up along the way from many other people. Brandon Picasso gave me some great hints on audio as well. But that's all I've been using. So, that is an entry-level Nikon D3500 with the entry-level 15 or 18 to 55 millimeter kit lens. That's all that is, and that's what I'm shooting with. So you don't need the fanciest equipment to make videos, and those Jigsaw videos are doing pretty well for my channel. So that'll tell you people are there for the work you're doing, the story you're telling. I think more so than the good visuals. Audio is important though. People will click off your video if you've crappy audio. They might not if you've not so good video.
Well, and that's the thing that I always learned in moving into digital production was that audio is key. If your video is crappy, that's one thing, but if they can't hear you, there's no engagement. And that's just terrifying because it's cutting out every other word, or there's that echo. And we film in kitchens, and it's just terrible. It's like the hardest part of learning that job is trying to mic somebody in a kitchen.
Yeah, because it's so echoey.
Yeah, but I always thought
that
was
surfaces.
I always thought that was the interesting part with motorcycles. Like, if you can mic somebody on a motorcycle, you can pretty much figure anything out because it's all the bad stuff is occurring all at once. You know?
Got that insane wind to deal with.
Absolutely. So do you have any long-term goals for your channel, do you think? I mean, do you think about it like that, or you stay in the moment? Because I think there's a part of me that thinks long-term goals is good, and I think the other part of me thinks it's terrifying.
I don't really. I'll break it down a bit, right? I don't have long-term goals for the channel per se. I have long-term goals for my bikes, but my bikes have kind of become synonymous, I suppose, with my channel because my bikes are my channel, and my channel is my bikes. Would I have the bikes without the channel? I'd have the bikes without the channel, but I wouldn't have the channel without the bike. So the channel is the bikes, if that makes sense. And I have lots of plans for my bikes. So long term, there's so much there. I want to get the Jigsaw on the road. I want to bring the Jigsaw on track. I want to bring the CBF foreign. I want to tour on it. I really hope it'll be cool. We'll see. I want to visit. There's one particular Spanish, Templar castle that I went to years ago that I really want to bring and show everyone because it is magnificent where it is. And I'm just going to fly the drone and pretend like I don't know about local laws and see what happens. If I get arrested and shot, I get arrested and shot. It's a risk I'm willing to take.
But you also have to think about the return for your views. I mean, if you get shot on camera, that's, you got to do it for the likes.
As long as I don't die. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a given.
And then, the Magna, I want to fully rebuild the Magna. I want to take that down to the frame. I want to repowder coat the frame. I want to completely change the color. There's the other secret bike that you know about that I still haven't told everyone else about. I have lots of plans for that.
And then that's the Harley Davidson Road Glide you bought, right? Oh, I gave it away. Sorry.
I wish. if anyone wants to lend me a lot of money, I'll buy one. But I suppose long term for the channel, then it's not really something I ever thought about until fairly recently. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to do bike videos full time. I'd love to do bike videos full time, and it's other people who put that in my head. So you've all confused me, damn you. But is it a goal? Not really, because I personally still don't see it as realistic. And I think if I let myself think about that too much, it'd get me down because, I'd be aiming for it and I wouldn't be making much progress towards it, if that makes sense. So, it'd have to be something that I thought, okay, you might get there in 10, 15 years, but I can't think that far ahead in my head. So I just don't think about it. But I suppose a long-term goal is kind of like, could I do this full time? But I don't think it's a realistic goal. So realistically, the long-term goals is just add more bikes and finish all the projects, I suppose.
Yeah. But I think that's good because it's keeping it genuine to your branding. You're not trying to steer it in a different direction. It's a day in your life.
It's just bikes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, that's genuine. As a creator, what kind of inspires you? Like what inspires you to make videos? Is it to share your story? Is it to document that for lack of a word, historical purposes? So you can look back and say, these are the things that I did to the bike.
Yes, there's one element, like I said at the very, very start, I want to show people that working on bikes isn't that bad. If I can do it, if I feel if I can do it, anyone can do it. I generally use pretty basic tools that anyone can get. And it's one thing that I always try to show people is, there's lots of kind of older generations of bikers who often, and it's been said to me, I'll say, okay, well, I'm rebuilding this section of bike. And even, for instance, when I did the forks and the phaser, it is so easy to go out and buy that one spanner you need to loosen the top clamp or to loosen the top cap while it's still in the clamp in the bike. And, people that always say, oh, that's not the way to do it. It's kind of like, you're not really doing the job unless you make it hard on yourself. No, go buy the proper tool. Anyone can afford that tool. It's not that expensive. If you're going to do the job, make it easy on yourself. And that's one thing is definitely I try to show people that, and it's something I really, really want to do is try to show people that anyone can work on their bikes. Other things then, what inspires me is the food videos I started doing. Definitely Suburban Delinquent. I watched him for a long time. And also Brian 636's Hood Eats. I'd love to try emulate them better. Suburban Delinquent is just his videos are fun, and he has really good shots of the food and stuff. And then Brian 636 has a really good, like I said, relevant historical / cultural talk of the area he's going to, and then also shows the food, but in a much more kind of simple way. He shows the food and then says it's nice or it's not nice. So I'd like to get to a level that I'm like, okay, I think I have my own spin on this and I'm happy with it. So they definitely, those are two people who inspire me. And one thing is just to show people these are nice places to eat and you can go to them on your bike. And I suppose that's just the team as well as, I want to show people it's so much easier to go see certain things or certain monuments on your bike because you don't have to worry about parking or traffic or narrow roads and just I suppose just to show how good a place Ireland is for ride a motorcycle as well in general.
Yeah, I mean it's just beautiful, and that's actually would be my next question. So the one thing that I always found with riding is that when you tour, it's always best to grab somebody like you off the street and say, hey, if I were you and I wanted to go for this to eat or this to see, I always find that the locals have that. So if I came to Ireland, what would be the ride that I should do? Like what would be, do you think that there's something that speaks to you as being quintessential Ireland versus the tourist Ireland?
I suppose, well, to be honest, all of it is, quintessential Ireland. Ireland is, it's too small to have pockets, but you definitely have a very different Ireland in Dublin is radically different to the rest of the country, in my opinion. Dublin is a modern European city. Not to say that Cork and them, aren't, but Cork feels like a really big town, whereas Dublin feels like a really big city. And all the good and bad points that come with that. There's lots of places to eat in Dublin. There's lots of places to see in Dublin, but there's also lots of crime in Dublin. Same as every big city. But one thing that I would say to anyone who is a biker who comes to Ireland, it's a ready-made route. Is the Wild Atlantic Way. I've done sections of it on the channel, and it's just. You have the Copper Coast. I'm not actually sure that is part of the Wild Atlantic Way, I think, but the Copper Coast, I did a video on that. Killarney, West Cork, Glengariff, all the way up the coast. Like you start in Wexford and just travel all along the coast and all the way up to Donegal, you just can't go wrong. Or, if you just pick sections of it, do some sections in Mayo, like Westport out to the islands out there. I can't remember the name now. It's terrible, but
I won't go there.
I was planning on going there this year, and I'm going to go there next year now. But I give Keel Bay, they're out there as well, and Mayo, and you just can't go wrong. They're absolutely stunning views. There's lots of like local places to eat. There's pubs you can eat in. There's lots of good places to stay, B&Bs, hotels. You don't really have to worry about your bike being robbed or disturbed out that way. It's just any of the Wild Atlantic Way. To be honest, if you come to Ireland and you're American, and this is just for the Americans, is your country is humongous.
Mm-hmm.
So for you to ride to certain sections of Ireland, it's going to surprise you how long it takes, because all our roads do this. Point A to point B in a straight line might be 2 miles, but to get there, it might take you 10 miles riding. And lots of them are slow, narrow roads. So yeah, all of it is good to ride, particularly the Wild Atlantic Way, particularly. It's like a ready-made tour route. But it's going to take you longer than you think. So it's only like, I think it's 2,000 kilometers long, but you wouldn't do it in 2 days.
And I think those are the best roads. Just ripping up the highway is just kind of boring. There's a time and a place for it, but it's great that you can cover ground quick, but you don't really get anything from that experience.
It's just a big straight road, isn't it? Who wants that?
You throw the cruise control on, you have the tunes on, and next thing you know, 4 hours later, you're in, somewhere else.
Yeah.
But no, I can understand. So let's get to the important questions, the things that really matter here. What is your favorite style of Jameson?
Easy. Stout edition. Caskmates Stout aged.
Oh, that's good. Now, did you try the coffee?
Yes, I have. It's also delicious, but stout is still my favorite.
Stout is still the Caskmates, yeah.
Yeah. The coffee one is a close second. That was really good.
I'm surprised. I was on this whiskey kick and then a Scotch kick, and then for whatever reason, I never tried Jameson. And then once I did, I was done. And then we had talked about the different varieties of it, and I was just like, "Wow, this is a rabbit hole. This is a really big rabbit hole."
Jameson is just delectable.
Now, Jameson or Guinness? Now, if you can only get one, which one you going with?
Ooh, do I want to get really drunk or just have a quiet night with some pints? That's the question. If you said to me, we're going out and we're going to get really drunk, then Jameson. And if you're saying we're going out and we're just having a couple of quiet drinks, then probably Guinness.
Okay.
Also, I'd probably just have to murder you to get the Guinness and the whiskey.
That's you're not going to send me to the bar with the leprechauns, are you?
Don't tell people about that story. It's secret.
Oh, that's a great story. So as simple as this seems, the one thing, and I'm a big documentary guy, so I've watched Why We Ride. So that's my question. Why do you ride? Is there something that at its core, why do you ride?
It's my therapy, I suppose. It's good for the brain. It's if I'm off my bike too long, not even riding. I'm going to modify that if that's okay. It's not even why I ride; it's why I bike. If just encapsulate bikes, because if I can't ride it for a week or two and I'm able to work on them, that's as good for me, because I love working on my bikes too. So, like, there's very few things in the world that will compare to when I got the Gixxer to start up the first time. It's just that is such a good feeling, and same as it's going to be when I go out and ride it. Same as when I get in the CBF and go for a spin, or the Magna when I go for a rip. Yeah, just I suppose how happy it makes me. That's probably why.
It's weird that you say that. I mean, it's such a strange experience that something can change you at your core that simply. I can ride into the office and ride 4 miles, and that made my day. Versus it's just interesting. That's cool.
Yeah,
that is a really good question. So What's that?
There's a radical difference in my mood in, say, spring, summer, autumn in Ireland, when I can ride all of the time, basically, to right now. Because right now I do have to use the car a bit to and from work, because it's a big main road, and we have a lot of rain at the moment, and we also have a lot of frozen weather at the moment. So the main road is just not safe. Not that it's not safe. Not that I wouldn't get there. I'd get there, but it's like you're probably quadrupling your risk is to in comparison to the summer, when you have dry roads and not covered in mud and stuff like that. Our roads get really bad in winter. But my mood is like, if you compare me to the summer and now, there's no comparison. Or even autumn and spring to now, there's no comparison. I'm just a much, much more upbeat person when I get to ride my bike to and from work. And I know that sounds silly. It's just, like, oh, what changed? What changed? I just rode my bike today. That's it. It makes a huge difference.
And I think that's great. It's hard. I mean, especially in your climate, when you get so much rain, to take away from that experience. But I think that's the cool part about you working on the bike, is you have that experience beyond the bike. You don't necessarily have to be out riding on the days when you can't.
Yeah, and that's that's something that some people don't get is, I am genuinely, I am just as much rewarded from working on my bikes as riding them. That's probably why I have so many, because one has to be broken all the time. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
If they all work perfectly, then I don't have something to work on. I'm just going to buy another one.
What's wrong with that?
Well, I suppose I should probably put my life together and save for a house at some point,
Nah. You're going to die of something, you might as well go out happy, right?
It's important.
That's the thing with the house, right? We bought our house 2 years ago, and while it's great and I wouldn't change it, it feels like it's the anchor. You need somewhere to live, but it sort of becomes the prison, because now you're paying for it versus
If rent wasn't so crazy, I'd rent forever. But unfortunately, landlords want to become very wealthy off their tenants. So that's just the way the world is.
That's what killed us here, is that every year it was more expensive than the year before.
Yeah.
Yet, if you buy a house, once you get over that hump, it stays pretty much the same, which is crazy. So I have a fan question. Someone you may know, Mr. Nate, AKA my son, has a question for you. And I don't know that you can answer this, but he is a fan. He does watch your show and he is subscribed to it, but he wants to know something that I think
Nate.
All of our viewers want to know. Why are these so damn magically delicious?
I have no idea. I have I've never seen or heard of Lucky Charms. You know what I mean? Other than you guys tell me, they don't exist in Ireland. They're not a thing.
Well, we're going to fix that. We're going to put these in a box and ship them to you. And you can realize how bad American life is. If this is what we've made of Ireland, you should just unsubscribe to my channel. Never come to America again.
I'll definitely still come. Don't worry.
The interesting part with these is there's the I don't know what this is, but then you have the marshmallow side. So when Nate was little, he used to just eat the marshmallow. So when you pour them out, it was just the
You're just getting the rest.
Yeah. Come on, kiddo.
Smart. Thank you for that. I'm very excited to try them now because they look really good. To be honest, American cereals generally are really good because you just have so much sugar in them, and so they're great.
And then we wonder why everybody's like overweight and diabetic. But
Yeah, but they're delicious.
They're magically delicious. Don't screw it.
Magically delicious. Sorry,
it says right there on the box somewhere. No, it doesn't. Oh, wait. And these are special ones. There's unicorns in these.
I get unicorns.
And it's family size or gorilla size. I mean, depending on how you view it.
That'll do one bowl for me.
A family of 4 or 1 gorilla is actually what it's.
Yep. Perfect.
So first off, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. But what are your this is your time. What are your shout outs? Do you have any projects you want to talk about? Anything that you want to promote while you're here?
Well, first off, thank you very much for having me on. It's genuinely an honor to be the first guest. Projects. My ongoing project is the channel. So if you've never checked it out, please do pop over and have a look.
Yes.
At the moment, I'm rebuilding a 1996 Suzuki GSX-R 750 S-Rad that was sitting in a shed for 13 plus years. I just got that started, so that's exciting. So there's one thing that you could follow along. There's the ongoing Magna saga, which I will eventually fix completely. There's food reviews, there's visits to places, and we actually just got off lockdown this week. So I'm allowed to travel around my county again. So I'll hopefully be able to go places, one or two places. That's it really. I don't really know how to promote things. I just make videos and put pictures on Instagram. So if you want to follow along with those, please go have a look.
Yeah, and I'll make sure that there's a link in the description to that. And everyone that sees this really does need to check out your channel. Although I get very confused when you ride on the other side of the road, but that's okay. My mind is small. So
okay, so you ride on the right side of the road. We ride on the correct side of the road.
Side of the road. That's yes.
So then we're both right or correct.
What's funny is when Backpack walks into the room and I'm watching one of your videos and she doesn't realize it, she starts freaking out because she can't process why you're on the correct side of the road.
Well, like there are people who watch because you know how the GoPro makes everything look really like in your face, dynamic or whatever. And and if I'm riding quickly on a more narrow road and a car is coming against me, to me, that's just like, that's fine. You just you go close to the ditch and you pop back out and the car is past you. But I do that in one smooth motion because I'm used to it. But, I've gotten many messages of people that are like, you're going to die. You're being crazy. And I'm like, no, that's just, those are our roads. That's how they work. You know what I mean? That's just how they look. So don't worry about it. It's fine.
That's funny. No, and I really want to take time out to thank you for your mentoring and helping me learn this process. I mean, it's been fabulous. It's a wonderful community, and you've certainly welcomed me to that, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you.
Well, I didn't even realize I was mentoring you, so you're more than welcome if I was.
No, I mean, you have. And not only that, I mean, it's just, even with this, it's a big deal to have you on the show and to have this. And, you were nice enough to bring me on yours.
Anytime.
I really had no clue what I was doing. But not sure that I do yet anyway, but I greatly appreciate that. So I want to make sure that if you're watching this, please check out Gorilla Biker's channel. I will put links in the description for the Instagram and on the gram, because you got to do it for the gram.
Gotta, yeah.
But, and you just have some amazing views of Ireland. So it's definitely worth checking out. Even if you don't like bikes, God forbid, you got to check out your channel.
Yeah, there's a lot of bike photos on my Instagram, in fairness, but there's also the new baby kitten Splat. There's my dog sometimes. There's pictures of landscapes sometimes. Oh,
there's hands.
And there's hands occasionally. And one thing is, I don't actually ever say it because I'm terrified as soon as I mention it, I'm just going to lose like 200 followers. I'm actually like really close to 1,000 followers on Instagram, like 12 off or something like that. So yeah, come on, give me over 1,000. Go on.
Absolutely. Let's do it. So if you're watching this, please subscribe to his Instagram as well.
Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you all for watching, and keep an eye out. We're going to try and put this out on Sunday mornings, our time, probably like 7 a.m. our time. A lot of people have reached out to want to continue this. So I'm really excited to continue this conversation with other riders and creators. And please consider subscribing, give this video a like, leave a comment. I don't know. What should they do? You have the whole outro crew thing down, man.
Just practice. Just like and subscribe to Bry's channel because it's great and he's a nice dude. And critically, notice how goddamn good his video looks. Look at that. It's absolutely magnificent. I think that's important. Give the man a hand for how good that setup is. Like the blue, but it's beautiful. It's professional. It's got to be said. It's got to be said.
You can buy anything on Amazon.
Yeah, like if you look behind me, there's just this bike gear. That's Toaster's bike gear. That's my bike gear. There's a door. There's a wall. Yeah, I plan on hanging some bike pictures on that wall, but they're not. Oh, actually, hold on. Apologies if this gets my crotch. I really hope it doesn't.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, there goes. So one thing that is important that I still haven't hung up yet.
Oh, there it is.
So that has to go up. I have also the print you guys sent me. So I never properly thanked you because I actually have a mail call video scheduled. I've meant to do it for so long. I've like 5
There's no need to thank us. We were so
it's going to happen.
it.
It's going to happen.
No,
but Bry
no.
and Backpack sent me some really great stuff, and it's going to be hung up soon. It's just moving house and all, you know.
It's all part of making it your home.
That's it.
So we got to keep an eye out for Splat. We got to keep an eye out for Blue, and we got to keep an eye out for the hands.
Yeah,
the old Toasterino.
There's actually, if you want to, very exciting stuff coming up. Tuesday's video, which I just rendered before I came on here, and I'll be uploading later. You get to see the back of Toaster's head.
What?
Mm-hmm.
No, see, I'm not going to watch that because I like the allure that we don't know who Toaster is. Toaster could be anybody.
You still never know. It's just the back of her head.
I won't lie. I find myself looking at that thumbnail when she's wearing the helmet, and my head's trying to process what she could look like. And it's like, oh, this is so twisted that I'm doing this. It's like a whole blockhead thing. Like, who is it? Nobody knows.
Yeah. I wonder
if
you meet Blockhead in person, I wonder, does he take off his helmet?
What if you don't really see him? What if it's like Men in Black where they pop you with the little thing at the end?
What if he's not a real person? What if he's a cyborg?
See, that's brilliant marketing because it could be the same person. It's like the Stig. Nobody really knows who the Stig is. Well, that's back when Top Gear was real.
Yeah. That was just
want to go unknown.
Although I will say
crap.
that Chris, what's the good Chris's second name? The one who currently presents. He's good. Like, he knows.
I gave up after Hamster left.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, but no, I like him. I don't like. Not that I don't like them. It's just that the two new guys that aren't the Chris guy, I just, they're not really car people to me. So, you know, I still watch it sometimes. I don't really watch much TV, but yeah, not for me.
Fair enough. And you don't want to talk about your favorite IT Crowd episode, right? Those of you who don't know, that's just a running joke. I absolutely love the IT Crowd, and someone claims they've seen it.
I've seen it. I'm just not good at quotes, but the internet episode is my favorite episode. I think that's probably my favorite episode, yeah.
I always wanted to make that box for my boss and leave it on his desk.
That'd be good.
Absolutely, Brett. Well, I can't thank you enough. Please keep an eye out for the next episode of Behind the Rider, and we will see you when we see you. Peace, folks. Thanks again.
Adios.
Well, that was a good adios.